Okay, so I accidentally made a mistake with this video. This is my second take. Okay, I keep recording these at 10 o'clock at night for whatever reason, but originally this was going to be one big long video about H-Kkohaku's JB weaknesses, and I would like stitch together all of these into one super long video. But enough people saw the first part that I feel like trying to reorganize this into one video that's 2 hours long would be kind of defeating the point, especially since so many people watched the first half. So I'm just going to do this as like a mini series, I guess, of compiling my complaints about Kohaku JB, because enough people saw the first video that I don't feel like it's necessary to combine this all into one big video. It will just be poorly edited and poorly thought out, like most of the other videos on my channel. So there's that. Um, okay, so in the first video, I talked a little bit about how Kohaku's JB was like it has average stats. Its hitbox is huge, of course, but it's like on startup. Yeah, on startup, its hitbox extends a lot, right? So like of course it has this huge red at the very top that you're not seeing, but like it's a very powerful button when you consider like it's huge red, but because of it, like it's not all powerful. Like a lot of people would tell you that Kohaku JB is one of the best buttons, air buttons in the game, and I personally would strongly disagree, at least in my opinion. So this video is like this is building up from the information that I put in the other video. I'm not going to make one long, super long feature-length film video anymore. I'm just going to break it up into parts, unless one of you guys pay me $30 to edit it all together into like a well-done thesis. I'm just explaining why Kohaku players for almost years at this point have been complaining about Kohaku JB and why we don't think it's that great. I was going to ramble about like Marvel Rivals, but like if you know anything about Marvel Rivals or you've seen me talk in main core, you know that Spider-Man's been nerfed for whatever reason, and it pisses me off. So it's whatever, man. I mean, I'm also kind of sad that I'm doing this video now because I should have done it like 3 hours ago. But I was watching the new Yaiba anime because honestly I didn't think I would like it, but I really do like Yaiba, so glad that I'm at least watching it. I don't really feel like reading it, but watching it's pretty fun, pretty well, and a good animation as well. Okay, so let's get back on track on the Kohaku JB topic. So yesterday I showed how, due to it extending a lot of green and it taking like a lot of time to position as low to the ground as possible to abuse the um, amazing hitbox. Like if we go frame by frame here. This should be buffered, and if I hit 8, 9, 10, 11, yeah, this is near frame perfect. Yeah, in order to get it as low to the ground as possible, you need either IAD back, an IAD forward, or you need to neutral jump and do it as you land, because it's not very active. It has average air active frames. So like if you want to do it close to the ground, this is pretty much as close to the ground as possible. You got to do it from an ID back and an ID forward, or you need to neutral jump, pick space like that. And even in this situation, and like I'm doing it perfectly here, as we showed yesterday in the video with the example with Tono, it's not exactly uncommon or unlikely for a character to punish you for doing this, despite you doing it preemptively, because your extended green, I need to remember not to point with my finger, but instead use the Narnia pointer on screen, your extended green, you double your size and you double your width. So it's not exactly uncommon for characters to hit this green before the red is active, because a lot of jump into this game are very active. Normally like the active ones are 5 to 8 frames active, some of them are 10 frame active. So what happens is they're pressing their button early to prevent people from jumping in on them with like a JA. So they're pressing their button early, and what happens is they stuff out your normal that's supposed to beat their jump ins. That was just like one example. I want to go more in depth on why JB is not that great by showing off a couple of other like issues with it. Like first things first, in order for JB to be used in like an anti-air, like a lot of people are like one of the most common pieces of advice that I got from JG is that when I see people jump, I need to be more willing to swing JB, and that was a piece of advice that I took to heart for like the longest time. And like at a low level and a mid level, and for like getting into the top level, that advice does sort of hold true, because the issue with a lot of people's play is that they don't really consider nuance. Like, they see the an opponent's on the screen, so they start to play neutral the same way they would play versus any other character, right? So they would like overextend and take to the air in ways that don't really make much sense. And like when you jump, like if you reactively jump, yeah, like, so if they jump and you just like naturally just react, like this happens a lot in like low level. But versus high level, like people start not overextending with air buttons as fast, and they do stuff like this, and like they air block. And here's my second issue with JB, kind of due to because Kohaku air normals that aren't JB are kind of ass. There's very little threat to air blocking her JB. So like normally when you get told in a fighting game that something is like you should just block it, it sounds really stupid and really disingenuous, right? Because typically you don't want to be blocking anything in a fighting game. You'd rather outmaneuver it, or you'd rather cleanly beat it. Like, these are the best ways to deal with stuff in fighting games. So when someone tells you to just block something, it's like it kind of feels like they're BMing you, right? But in this case, like a lot of people kind of don't recognize that it's really strong to just block JB, and Kohaku does not get a lot out of you blocking JB, and I'm going to explain why that's the case in this part of the video. So bear with me now. I do also want to talk about some other stuff that people were talking about in the Discord after I posted the first part, but I'm just going to talk about how little reward she gets from you like blocking her JB first. So this dummy is set to just jump forward and block. And first things first, let's talk about why getting you to block in Melty Blood is strong. Now, if I jump early, I was not okay. I need to re-record this dummy and have it. Okay, please be blocking the whole way through. Yeah, okay. So first we need to talk about why blocking is so why people don't want to block air normals in the first place. So if you noticed anything in this example, is that as soon as Koha is blocking, as soon as he air blocks, he loses all upwards momentum. He pretty much gets his vertical momentum set to 0, and then he starts falling to the ground. This is great. Like this, I'm going to first talk about why this is so strong and why Kohaku's JB is so weirdly bad at taking advantage of this fact first. So this is strong because it allows you to be in a position where you can air unblockable people. Like that. Ground normals in this game are air unblockable generally, with very few exceptions. Like Kohaku's 5C spinny part is air blockable. Like that spinny part's air blockable. But for the most part, most ground normals are air unblockable. So it's really strong to force people to land on top of you with a button, and then it 5A them into a full combo. Like some characters, like cheap Arc or cheap Satsuki, can get like a full 5k into Oki off of that, but like generally getting any damage off of someone who's doing something as defensive as like 4-jump block is like really strong. Normally, in order to get people to take damage from this, you'd have to gold aether them, which is a big risk. And this is why you see gold aether a lot more as you get better and better at the game, because people like Skeleton, Alps, and Zay are not going to overextend as much as your average low-level player. So calling out their passive jumps with the gold air throw becomes a lot stronger versus them. And another way is like you just run up and you like dash 5A or dash 5B or dash whatever your button that catches jump start up and a little bit of jump active is like, because the idea is because they're going to jump, when you jump there's a little bit of time where you can't block but you're still able to get hit, and there's a little bit of time as you rise up the ground that you're going to get hit by the normal anyway. So like a good example is if I can time it right, Kohaku 2B. Like, as you can see, it's not exactly the best at this, and its autocomplete makes whipping it garbage, but it hits relatively high up. And in block string offense in the corner, Kohaku 2B is usually what's used because generally people jumping or double jumping Kohaku 2B is much worse than, you know, it whiffing in neutral. So why is, but we talked about why getting people to block in the air is so strong, right? We send them downwards. But why is Kohaku like bad at taking advantage of the fact that she's forcing you to block with JB a lot of the time? Like, you would think that this would be really strong. I mean, it's strong, don't get me wrong, but it's not as strong as people think it is. Okay, so first things first, I need to re-record another dummy that will better explain the issue. So in this dummy, I'm going to actually, and we'll set the dummy to do this. Actually, nope, that's too low. I think this will work for the dummy, and then we'll set the dummy to do something like this. Okay, so this is a typical situation that happens in Melty Blood, where maybe did I set the first dummy to be correct? Okay, I'm sorry. Again, I should probably have done this, set this up beforehand, but I was kind of lazy today, so I didn't do it. So this is like ideal Kohaku JB height. Like, we're taking full advantage of the disjoint here, right? I mean, if we do take full advantage of this disjoint, okay, let's save slot 3. If we take full advantage of the disjoint, it's kind of hard to take. Oh man, this recording this is hard. I keep forgetting that it's kind of whack to do this stuff. Do I have anything set here? Dummy. I could just pause till I get the dummy to be what I want it to be. Please work. Okay, I can buffer dash still, and I think this replay will work. No, it doesn't, but I will just re-record it. Okay, now I can talk about the situation properly. My bad about that. Okay, so this is taking full advantage of Kohaku's J speed disjoint, at least horizontally. I know it could be more vertically advantage, but like another thing that's bad about Kohaku JB is that there's no fucking, you typically don't need that much disjoint on a normal, but let's not talk about that right now. So we're taking full advantage of this to stop all of our opponent's air momentum, but notice how Koha in this situation has 2 air options left. He has air dash and double jump. He can double jump forward, he can double jump neutrally, and he can double jump back. Now, most characters, when they hit you with an air normal, like, it's very common that regardless of the height, you get air block stringed into nonsense. But like Kohaku's JC, at least H-Kkohaku's JC, is thinner than her JB, so we can't like air block string you in this situation. Normally, like if you got hit by like a Tono scouting with JA or JB in the air, you get air block stringed into either JA or to JC, which is forced to carry you closer to the ground and give you less chances to jump so that he can air blockable you. Kohaku cannot do this because her JB is so fucking big that she can't actually hit you afterwards. So, but there is another character that does something like this, and it's Nero. He does this off of JC, but here's the deal with his JC. His JC is multi-hit, 1. 2, it's active for 10 frames, and 3, he's not using it to like anti-air people with jump-ins or something. He's typically doing it like at level. He's like horizontal to you, and he's preventing you from approaching him carelessly after you're avoiding a summon on the ground. Kohaku's JB is like a space denial tool, but like let's say you block it in this situation. Okay, I am like really bad. Okay, so if we ID JC, That was a frame perfect IGJC, as you can see on the screen meter. I did it perfectly. JC does not hit. That's not good, because that we ideally want to threaten something, right? Hell, even a perfect IDJB does not hit an opponent who just decides to air block. I'm now -5 for hitting my JB versus a blocking opponent, which is already not good. So let's say like you decide to land as fast as possible with JA. You're still -5, but at least you're not extending as much screen. But hey, at least you're minus, but you're covering off an area of the ground. So like it could be worse. I'm going to set the dummy to do something stupid like dash block as soon as it hits the ground. Right? So uh-oh, that's not exactly great. Like I could air dash longer, but oh no, his dash, he now puts me in a bad position where I have my back to him in the air and he's on the ground. That's not exactly great. Can we like exactly what are we supposed to do here? Like we can blow all of our air options to go back to neutral. Or like we could just neutral jump and just claim the space. Oh, this works, right? But you're gonna see that. Let's talk about the next situation that your opponent presents. Air dash block. Okay, Koha has a very special type of air dash, similar to Kohaku's and arrows, in which he dashes in a straight line and he can like air dash block, which is really weird, but also relatively strong. It's hard to describe. Like yeah, like the delay JB situation works, but he's so close to me that like we're not accounting for him doing something like yeah, doing something like that or something like that. That is weird. I hit the Steam button. Oops. Please don't nuke my frame data. Okay, the air dash grab is not working properly. I mean, I think I have for this dummy, I have to air dash JB. And he can whiff cancel his JB, so he would do that instead anyways, but oh, he's below me, and my JB is not exactly a great like air to ground. So like I could like swing with JC, but that starts losing to the dash under, and oh, we're already setting us. We're already, because JC is not that active and it doesn't hit that deep. Oh, we're already in a we're putting ourselves into an RPS mix-up that's like not exactly great. Like of course you can always be like, oh well, you're kind of being a bit over dramatic when you can just immediately give up all that space and go back to neutral. But like typically when you get an opponent to air block something in this game, you are an advantage, but you're seeing very clearly that I'm not an advantage here. Like despite me getting an opponent to block my button, I'm not in any sort of air advantage whatsoever, really. And that's one of those things about this button that's people don't like recognize because they don't play the character enough. Like when you play versus other characters like Nero, Tono, H-Kkohaku, H-Kkohaku, Rug, you don't want to be caught air blocking buttons stupidly because you will die. But versus Kohaku, like he can't really stop you for like just being in the air and just air blocking. Like she has to overcommit with gold air throw in order to stop you from air blocking. And it seems like the devs sort of recognize this, or maybe they just weren't thinking about like the way Kohaku's combos work, because Kohaku's gold air throw is weirdly one of the most damaging in the game. Like if I set the dummy to just jump here, like this is obscene damage for a gold air throw. And if I wanted to, I could go into my Oki off of that. So the fact that it works like that is like maybe they were like actually like, okay, Kohaku is really bad at punishing people who just jump block all day because her buttons for catching jumping foes are like not that great. So we'll just hand her a bone and just make it so that when she gold air throws you just explode into tiny pieces. So maybe that's what they were thinking, but this is like at max range. Like of course you're not always going to like be perfectly spacing out your JB sometimes you're going to hit them closer, and that's what the second dummy was for, right? Okay. Okay. Let me re-record this save slot. Okay, we're gonna save this. I don't think I did that right, but we'll fine. It's fine. Sometimes you. I need to set the all block real quick. Yeah, I think this. I think this is fine. Okay, so now we're talking about JB in like a position where, frankly, if you get hit by JB this closely, you're probably doing something wrong or you're overcommitting somehow. It's not really realistic, but actually, you know what? I'll be slightly more charitable in this situation, and we'll have the dummy do a super jump. Yeah, I think. I mean, I know this is going to be like a lot of time with me spent puddling with dummies in order to showcase my point, but I feel like that's better than just like fucking talking on my ass and expecting you to believe me. Like, just be like, yo, trust me, bro, this is so bad, when it's hard to explain. I haven't shown you a good example. Okay, so the dummy is doing this in the air. I'm going to pause once I get him to block at a decent height. I'm going to assume that I J9, and hell, we're actually going to put him in the corner to showcase an example that happens relatively often in my play versus like higher level players. Okay. I think I did that a little late, but like, fuck it, I guess. Like, let's see. Okay. Pen is not in use. Which slave slot was it? Okay, one. Okay, so in this position where, let's say the opponent's in the corner and they are not trying to not overextend, and they just decide to neutral jump on defense and they just air block, and I hit them and I pinned them with JB so they can't like jump out as easily. Normally in this situation, you're pretty much set for like an air unblockable, or at very least you can like force your opponent to be in a relatively bad position by like landing again and then JAing. But Kohaku's JA is like not good, because unlike most JAs in this game that hit like relatively like head level, Kohaku's hits chest level, which gives it like an advantage when used to like ID JA, because you can do two A's and two 2A or 1A to 2A. I mean, this is not really a mix up because they both hit mid, but like versus like people don't want to get hit by JA into like, I guess there's layers because you can JA into like command throw, like JA into C command throw, or just JA. Like, it's not really a mix up, but let's not talk about that right now. Let's just talk about it being used to pin people in the air. So I'm in this dummy, I'm just going to have him, I'm just going to have Koma jump again, air block, and you're going to very quickly see a really big issue that H-Kkohaku has. She can't pin him without overcommitting to another JB, and hell, even if she does that, if she tries to jump 9 to do the pin, it just doesn't work. Nothing hits, and this is really bad. Like, we didn't really even talk about this in the first video, but there is a huge blind spot above Kohaku's head that's not, the red just not show on that hitbox view for some reason. Okay, there's a huge blind spot here to here, and this is not exactly amazing considering the fact you are pretty much doubling your height and width in order to get this red, but there's a huge ass blind spot right here that's not, you can't cover. And like, to be fair, most characters can cover it, but like they don't have access to this huge disjointed part. Like, so like a lot of characters, like, let me just think of an example real quick. H-Kkohaku JB covers this area like on top of her, front of her, and yeah, and this hypothetical scenario where we're trying to pin an opponent and prevent them from using their double jump to escape, she would just use JB or her JA. Her JA, because of his head level, is good enough in order to stop people from double jumping here in this situation. But like Kohaku can't do that, so without committing her own double jump. Like I know what you think. Why not just commit the double jump in order to poke? Like this or something like that. And the reason why you don't typically commit your double jump is because that doesn't really work if they decide to just land and just take the unblockable. Let me, like, you just do this and you commit the double jump in this example. Wrong dummy slot. You commit the double jump in this example, you're whipping an air normal right on top of your opponent, and like you're like 9 times out of 10 you're going to just get like smoked for this. I'm actually whipping it in a way that if I commit the double jump, I can land with JB, but most people are not going to like give me like there's a huge gap here in which most people are just going to either dash out, micro walk out, or actually hit an anti-air. Like if this was F-Kkohaku, he'd hit 2B in this situation, right? So typically you land and then rising JA, so that even if they don't double jump, you're in like you have all your air options. Like you could double jump, like you could rise in JA, then on the ground, I can do something like this and give up a lot of space, but I still have corner, and even if they did something like immediately dash out, I have a cross-up JC in this situation, so they're not exactly incentivized to immediately try to challenge me. But like you can't even establish that because like the land JA technique doesn't even work. Like, yeah, you could argue that you could do this, but this is worse than doing rising JA. You wanna know why? Because it burns all your air options. Like as soon as you whiff this, like you know the situation where the opponent just lands on the ground and doesn't press anything, that becomes so much worse when you use the B normal instead, because what happens is that like they no longer have to be worried about your air dash and your double jump at all, and they can just fucking punish you. And like versus most characters, they don't have this situation. Like I know someone's going to be like, just air block string them. You can't. I know I saved the dummy a little late, so I can't even try it. But it's legit not going to work. JC is too thin. Even on H-Kkohaku and all the other Kohakus, JC is always too thin to consistently air block string in this situation. Like you could try a B normal, but those also like 5B actually gets like pwned by jump-ins because you just extend your green, like you pretty much double your height on the ground. If I pause it real quick, like this is her height right now, and as soon as it becomes active, there's this, and then yeah, you double your height. It's negatively disjointed. Jump-ins just smoke this by like procs just generally, so you don't want to hit that in order to stop this situation. I mean, even like if they double jump, it's not that bad, and if they decide to do nothing, like yeah, you get a combo. But like considering that, like even if they're like jumping back here is like greedy, like the average player is not going to do that, and instead is going to do something like that. And yeah, 5B is not exactly great here. Like this is like one of those things, like in this situation 5B, like JB is amazing because like, oh look, I get to option select this and without like overly committing much really. Although I will actually try this 5B thing in sets because it is beating out Koma's JB. Like the thing about pressing 5B here is that it does lose to JAs and fast JCs, but and neutral jump shit tends to smoke it, but maybe versus like smart people I should try 5B more as an option there. So I'll guess I'll give it up a little bit there, but I think I got the main point across. Like this video is already 40 minutes long. I'm about to just call it a day and just upload this. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just gonna I don't really like this video. I feel like I made a mistake with the way I structured this, but it's like late at night, so I'm just gonna forgive myself. And like maybe one of these days, and by one of these days I mean this week on Wednesday when I have a trillion hours of free time, I'll fix this video and like script it out and make it not dog shit. But like it's already been 2 days since I uploaded the first part. I feel bad about just leaving it on my channel unfinished and undone for like so long. So okay, I'm just gonna upload this. But before I'm done, someone asked me in Discord, can I explain why H-Kkohaku JB is so good? Because I have issues, like I have the issues that you said you have with it. Also, is this the correct version of the stupid training tool that I've been supposed to be using? It is. Oh, so I do have the bleeding edge version installed. I have it. I've not been using the bleeding edge version for some reason. I keep using the wrong one. Okay, good to know. Someone was asking, how do I properly use H-Kkohaku or just Kohaku JB in general? Because I've been having all these issues that you have with it, but I'm not good enough to understand how to fix those issues. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go over in like 5 minutes the good parts about Kohaku JB, and I'll probably like the first part of this video I was actually relatively proud of. This one I'm not, so because I feel like I spent too much time fiddling with dummies. But you know what? It happens. Sometimes you're just going to get duds. So, okay. So for all the people who play Kohaku, this part of the video is for you. I'm going to leave a timestamp in it for the description. How to use Kohaku JB. The real big issue with Kohaku normals in general, and this was going to be something I talked about in part 3, is that they're all really preemptive, and they're not really all that great to whiff because you extend a whole lot of green when whiffing them. So you typically have to get like really good game sense in when and where to place them. But I'm just going to quickly go through the essentials. So okay, J7B is like perfect in neutral if people are like doing movement like this versus people who are serial super jumpers or people who like we use super double jump in order to get in, and they're not all that comfortable in playing ground footsies. Actually, yeah, that's a good example. I'll just use dummies to showcase this. Jump B, jump back JB is really strong versus people who super jump in and cannonball themselves at you, because most of the time they're just going to preemptively press a button, because most people don't super jump block, even though that's relatively strong movement, and just doing this in order to stop that is really strong. Versus people who love to hover in the skybox like this and fish for like an air to ground, it becomes a lot harder to use Kohaku JB because, like we kind of explained in the first part of the video, most air to grounds smoke Kohaku JB unless you use them correctly, because they just hit the preemptive.
You know a lot of quantum plates, yeah.